The OnePlus 3T was one of the most popular smartphones of 2016, and even had a little bit of steam for it going towards 2017. However, with OnePlus officially announcing that the OnePlus 5 will be unveiled on June 20th, is there still a market for the OnePlus 3T, especially when you consider the fact that it's really been discontinued from the company itself? I'm Joe Marion from XDA, and here are our 5 reasons why you still may want to consider purchasing the OnePlus 3T in 2017. Now, our first reason why you may still want to consider buying the OnePlus 3T is because it's really cheap. At the time of recording this video, you can still buy a brand new model of the OnePlus 3T in the gunmetal color configuration with 64GB of internal storage for $439 completely unlocked. Now, OnePlus has confirmed they're not going to be updating the inventory or the stock for the OnePlus 3T going forward, just to make room for the OnePlus 5, but it's still very possible to go on third-party websites like Amazon, eBay, and even Swappa to buy either new or gently used versions of the phone. In doing it through third-party sites like that, you're pretty much guaranteed to get an even lower cost for the phone, so if you shop around a bit, you could very well find the OnePlus 3T for $400 or even less. And when you consider all of that, it's a lot of phone you're getting for not much money, even if you still choose to buy it outright from OnePlus while inventories are still there. Now, our number 2 reason why you still may want to buy the OnePlus 3T is because it's still an insanely fast piece of hardware. You've got the Snapdragon 821 processor with 6GB of RAM, and even right now that's still kind of overkill. For the OnePlus 5, the company has confirmed it'll ship with a Snapdragon 835 processor, and there have been reports from Evan Blass on Twitter that it'll come equipped with 8GB of RAM as well. So while technically you will be getting a speed bump obviously for the OnePlus 5, there's no reason why a Snapdragon 821 and 6GB of RAM shouldn't be plenty powerful even for the heaviest of users out there right now. I've owned the OnePlus 3T for about 3 or 4 months or so at this point, and never once have I found the phone slowing down on me, getting sluggish. Even if I'm running multiple games, multiple applications at one time, those 6GB of RAM paired with the Snapdragon 821 processor still provides for an insane amount of power, and while obviously you're going to get a little bit more juice from the newer silicon when the OnePlus 5 is released, for most people out there, most of you watching this video, the silicon packed in the OnePlus 3T should still be plenty powerful, even for a few months or even a year going forward. Number 3 reason to still buy the OnePlus 3T is actually its display. Now, for those of you who have forgotten, the OnePlus 3T has a 5.5-inch 1080p Full HD display with a Super AMOLED panel. Now, we don't know exactly what the resolution for the OnePlus 5's display is going to be. Some people say it's going to be 1080p, but it's looking like OnePlus is finally going to make the jump to 2K. Now, while Ultra HD displays are a bit crispier, a little bit punchier, and overall more resolution, which is going to get you a better image, especially for things like VR consumption, honestly, I've been extremely happy with the 1080p output for the OnePlus 3T, and even though it's not the sharpest or the crispiest display around, I prefer that lower resolution for a couple of reasons. And the first of those has to do with how fast the phone runs. Now, even though you would have a fairly smooth experience on the OnePlus 3T with its hardware, with all the processing specs and all the RAM it has, with a higher resolution panel, with a quote-unquote lower res screen like 1920 by 1080p, that's much fewer pixels that the phone is pushing around through the display, which translates to smoother animations and an overall more buttery experience. And even in 2017, 1920 by 1080 paired with Super AMOLED creates for a very nice viewing experience, so you kind of get the nice benefit there and a nice balance of a screen that looks really great and also moves very smoothly. Now, the second reason why 1920 by 1080 is a perfectly awesome and fantastic resolution is because it's a great battery sipper. When you compare, again, it's weird to call 1080p low in 2017, but when you factor that resolution with the Super AMOLED technology, which as we all know, Super AMOLED uses fewer pixels than something like LCD or IPS and LED, when you combine those two factors together, you get a phone that really sips through battery throughout the day, and even if you're very heavy on the phone, there's phenomenal screen on time on here, because again, you have slightly less pixels, still a great display, which translates to a smoother experience overall in regards to animations and the way the phone looks, and better battery life, which creates for one awesome, perfect package. Our number 4 reason to still buy the OnePlus 3T is because the software experience is fantastic and is likely going to be very much the same if not identical to what you're going to find on the OnePlus 5. Now the OnePlus 3T, and we're expecting the OnePlus 5 to do this as well, runs Oxygen OS, which is OnePlus's take on Android, but it looks very similar to stock, but has a nice few additions here and there that make the overall experience a bit more customizable, a bit more functional, and overall better for the end result. Now some of the best features for Oxygen OS include the ability to switch between on-screen and physical navigation buttons, a font switcher that was recently added, the Pixel style launcher found with the Google Pixel and Pixel XL, a ton of gestures to play around with various actions you want the phone to do based on what you do with the screen and how you move it, various UI things to change the overall appearance of the notification bar, settings, etc. And when you look at the development side of things, there are a ton of ROMs already available for the OnePlus 3T if you happen to not like what OnePlus is doing with Oxygen OS. Some of the most notable ones include Resurrection Remix, Freedom OS, Lineage OS, Carbon ROM, and quite a few more. Now, although we are expecting the OnePlus 5 to see similar developer support like the OnePlus 3T and previous OnePlus handsets have seen in the past, you already have all of those ROMs available for the OnePlus 3T, and if you do like what OnePlus is doing with Oxygen OS, the company has confirmed that the 3T will be updated to Android O, and hopefully further versions of Android are going along down the road as well. OnePlus has done a solid job at updating both the 3 and the 3T thus far. There's been a bit of a gray area surrounding the OnePlus X and the OnePlus 2, which never did get updated to Android Nougat, but again, with so much developer support, if OnePlus ends up not coming through, you can rely on a community that's really taken to this handset to carry it forward for a number of years to come. Now, the number 5 reason why you still may want to purchase the OnePlus 3T as opposed to the forthcoming OnePlus 5 is because it honestly looks like a very minor update. While we do have improvements like the Snapdragon 835, the 8GB of RAM, and the rumored dual camera system, the leaked renders so far that we've seen for the supposed final design for the phone looks very similar to the iPhone 7 Plus, and whatever your stance is on that, that's kind of to say that it's not all that much different than the OnePlus 3T. It still features kind of those rounded corners, the camera sensor has been moved to the upper left as opposed to kind of the middle that it was on the OnePlus 3T, but all in all, you're not getting the kind of bezel-less design that we've seen with previous handsets this year, like the Galaxy S8 and the LG G6. Overall, it still looks like a common 16:9 smartphone form factor, and while you are going to get slightly better performance with the 835 and 8GB of RAM, what it comes down to for a lot of users that watch XDA is the software experience and the overall performance that the phone ekes out. So when you factor all of that in together with the OnePlus 3T, you look at the comparable display, the respectable design, fantastic performance, and a really great built-in ROM with a lot of developer support, for me personally, it still seems like a no-brainer why you may still want to consider buying the phone as opposed to the OnePlus 5. The OnePlus 5 is obviously going to be a better smartphone overall, but if it does have that higher price tag and it is kind of more of a modest update as opposed to a really extravagant one, you can currently get the OnePlus 3T for very cheap if you shop around for it, just since it's been out for a few months at this point in time, and it's still a very reliable piece of tech, and it still makes for a great update if you're coming from an older smartphone like the OnePlus 1, OnePlus 2, OnePlus X, or really any other Android smartphone that's about 2 or 3 years old at this point in time. But with that said, those have been my top 5 reasons why to still buy the OnePlus 3T in 2017. If you guys have any additional questions about the phone or you just want to talk about it, go ahead and do so in the comments below. I will be as active in there as I possibly can. If my face is new to you, that's because I just joined the XDA YouTube channel. Hopefully be around here for quite a bit, kicking out videos like this, and hopefully better as time goes on. You can check out my social links in the description below, and make sure to check out xdadevelopers.com and subscribe to us here on YouTube if you haven't already. With that said, I've been Jomar, and thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.